Brett, I feel so fortunate. Not because I'm having a word with you here, but I'm fortunate because I was the journalist who has covered your debut test match at Melbourne. And I can distinctly remember that test match. You had taken a fifer in the very first inning. Tell us about that experience because I can distinctly remember your face was like a child in a chocolate factory.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you get asked that question a lot about what was it like to play your first test match. And I've always had a funny story about this because imagine me being from the country, I've grown up watching cricket, and then I look down the other end of the pitch in front of the stumps, it's Sachin Tendulkar batting. And I'm thinking I'm in front of about 92,000 people at the MCG, Boxing Day test, Australia versus India. That's the place that you want to play. That's the team you want to play against. That's the venue to make your test debut. And I remember running through the first ball and bowling to Sachin. And honestly, I felt like getting an autograph book, bowl the ball and say, "Can you please sign this for me?" But I thought that might not look cool, so I didn't do it, obviously. But to me, that was like that moment in time where you just think that all the hard work, all the dedication, all the sacrifices that I've made were for that very, very moment, the first ball that I bowled. And people ask, were you nervous? And the answer was no, because I wanted it for so long. From the age of 9, I told Mum and Dad that I was going to play cricket for Australia, wear the baggy green cap and be the world's fastest bowler. I knew that when I was 9. And my doctor, who was an Indian doctor back in Australia, a lovely man, Dr. Indani, I had a back injury, broken back, and he told me that, you might not be able to bowl again, you might not be able to play sport again, maybe try something different at 16. And I said, well, thank you, doctor, I appreciate your counsel and your guidance, but that's not what my life's planned to do. I'm planned to bowl fast and I'm going to play for Australia. And I said, and when I do, I'll get you one ticket to come and watch me play, which I did.
Oh, brilliant. What a story. What a story. Let me tell you, in that particular match, Brett took 5 wickets in the first innings, Sachin scored 100. In the second innings, Sachin scored half century, he took 2 wickets. So it was going hand in hand.
Well, what I should have done in the next test, I should have got no wickets and he might have got a golden duck. I don't know.
But tell me, on the other side, I will tell you something, that Sachin has played 200 test matches. Just I think 200, no?
200, exactly.
Not much.
Not much.
200 test matches he has played. He has played against each and every great cricketer from the other test nation. But let me tell you, it's such an honor and privilege to tell this story to you, because Sachin has got so many acquaintances in the other team, but he has got very few friends from the other test playing teams. One is, of course, Brian Lara. He is very close to Sachin Tendulkar. The other, I won't call him as a friend, but they have great regards for each other, great love for each other, is Sir Vivian Richards. And the third player is from Australia, I think I'm forgetting his name, something like Brett Lee or something like that.
I don't know. Well, normally it's just Brett Lee. There's no Brett Lee, it's just Brett Lee.
But tell us about this unique friendship.
I think it comes down to RESPECT. It's just we just appreciate each other's talent and each other's gift that we've got. We go at it 100%, or used to go at it 100%. And that's the way you should play sport. I've always said that I will push the boundary playing sport as hard as I possibly can. But never will I overstep the boundary of a few things. This is what I always tell children when they're like listening in. There's no swearing on the ground so that the kids watch. And look, everyone's been guilty of saying a word underneath their breath, and it's not good for the kids. But you never ever racially vilify someone. Doesn't care, I don't care where someone comes from, what colour, skin colour, eye colour, hair colour. To me that doesn't matter as long as they're a good person. And I think because that was established very, very early, that was the way I was brought up, then it was like full on, and we were going out against each other. I was trying to get him out, he was trying to hit me for 6. And there were times where I got him out, and there were times where he hit me for 6. but you walk off the field and you leave all the stuff on the cricket field, and that's what makes you the person that their next game look up to and appreciate.
Brett, you were a genuine fast bowler and a hard-fought cricketer, but never have I seen you giving a nasty send-off.
I have
You-
before.
You have?
A few times, yeah.
But
Which
do you,
I'm not proud about, but that's under the heat of the moment. And that's the thing, and there's nothing wrong with making a mistake in your life as long as you learn from it. And I learned from that. I did a send off and I got fined for it, and it was stupid. I was only young, but I learned from it. And the only way to learn from something is to make a mistake. And then but as long as you learn from that mistake, if you keep making the same error over and over and over again, well then you'd be a pretty silly person. But yeah, look, I 9 times out of 10 try to make sure that the bowling did the talking, as opposed to me going down and verbally spraying someone.
because Brett, now ICC has come out with a specific rule
Yeah.
that you cannot give a nasty send-off to a batsman when he is already out. But do you believe that not because of the rule, but that is the most wrong thing on the cricket field? When a batsman is already out, you shouldn't give him.
Look, I think there's a place where there can be words spoken on the cricket field, and it's funny because when you're actually having a few words to a batsman, people think that you might be swearing at the batsman. People think the batsman's swearing at the bowler, but it's not the case. You're normally saying funny stuff. You'd be playing and missing. Andrew Flintoff, great example. So I was playing against him at the Gabba in Australia. It was 2006. My son Preston was born and he was only about 8 days old. So here I am running in, packed Gabba crowd. And I bowled the first ball to Flintoff, played and miss. He looked at me and just winked at me. Next ball, played and miss. He went, "Thank you." I'm like, "Thanks." And so people will assume that there was something else said. Next ball, ran in, he goes, play and miss. He goes, "Thanks very much." I said, "For what?" He goes, "Thank you for naming your son after where I was born." Preston, because he's born in Preston. And I thought, okay, quite funny. Next ball came, play and miss again. He goes, "How am I going to call my next son Wollongong? It'll be too hard." And this all happened, so I've lost it. I'm laughing my head off. No one else knew what was going on except for me and Flintoff, and we were like this far apart. But if you're looking from an outsider's point of view, you might be thinking, oh, they're sledging each other or they're trying to get it under each other's skin. But it doesn't always happen like that. And I think also too, because you're playing for your country, you need that aggression on the field. As I said, there's a line that you don't step over, but I think you need that controlled aggression because it's what makes the game exciting. We don't want to breed puppets. We don't want to breed robots. We don't want to breed stale people going out there and just playing boring cricket. People want to see the heroes and the characters of sport. Your Merv Hughes, your Harbhajan Singh when he gets a wicket and does a big crocodile roll. Stuff like that. It's fun. Like people want to be entertained playing sport and watching sport.
Brett, because another picture is etched in my memory of the Ashes again, and you and Flintoff again, when you were involved in a very good partnership for the last wicket, but unfortunately you lost your partner at the very crucial junction where you were short of just few runs, and you were down and out on the wicket, and Flintoff came and lifted you. Tell us about that.
I can't remember that at all. Can't remember that series at all. I'm not sure what happened. Don't know. Nah, look, that was to me that was still probably the best Test series I've ever played in, even though that we lost it. And people always assume that if you get 5 wickets or you get 100 runs, which I never had the pleasure to get, then that's been your best Test series. But it's not the case. Like, you don't need to do that. Sometimes to be at the other end when your fellow fast bowler gets a 6 for a hat trick. To me, that's the reason why you play sport. But that particular moment where we lost by 2 runs, Michael Kasprich got given out down the leg side of Harmison. It made the series 1-1, and then that just changed the whole series. And it was great. I think we needed 107 runs off the last day, and I hit a ball, I absolutely creamed the ball out to deep point. And if it would have gone half a metre either side of the fieldsman, it was 4, and it was game over. And I reckon if we won that game, it would have been 2-0 to Australia. We probably would have gone on to win the whole series. But as history shows, that we lost that game, and we went on to lose the series. But that game, every time I do an interview on stage, is always brought up and spoken about because people want to hear about that moment. But that moment where Andrew Flintoff, and I was down and I was shattered because we worked so hard, I thought we'd win. He put his arm around me and just consoled me and said, "Mate, bad luck, great game, I'll see you inside for a cold beer." And they've kept that moment in time, which is now the Spirit of Cricket Award, and they use that photograph. And I'm proud and honoured to be part of that because that was a very, very special moment.
That's what exactly we were talking about, spirit of cricket. Tell us about, because you talk about when invincible teams, the olden days of Sir Donald Bradman's and then the 80s team of West Indies. Talk us about this invincible team of Steve Waugh, which you were part of, because that was quite something special.
Yeah, look, I was very lucky to be part of what was such a great era. And you can't compare eras, you can't compare Don Bradman to Kohli today. You can't compare Sonny Bay to, a Ricky Ponting or a Stephen Smith these days, because absolute legends of the game in different eras. But the era that we played in was, and the time that we played, we had such a great team, and that's the reason why we won 16 test matches straight. We had a well-balanced team. We had some great batsmen. You could throw out our batting lineup, which was, Matthew Hayden, Justin Langer, Ricky Ponting, Michael Slater, Damien Martin, Mark Waugh, Steve Waugh, Adam Gilchrist, Shane Warne.
When all the batsmen were out, Adam Gilchrist used to come.
We'd come in, score 100 off about 30 balls. But, and that was just to mention a few of the players. But we had the same team for, nearly 15 or 16 test matches straight. And everyone knew their role, and it was a lot of fun to be a part of.
Tell us about your first India tour. As a Australian cricketer, not as a young cricketer, but as an Australian full-time cricketer, what was the experience like? What was India like that time? And what is the India like right now?
Yeah, well, just quickly on the first time, I was 17 years of age, and that was the 19s tour. And I remember, seeing India for the first time, and I was so overwhelmed by everything, by every sense that you can imagine just hits you when you arrive at the plane. The sound, the heat in your face, the different smells, the different textures that's going around, the just different cultures that were there. Everything just hits you. And you're just like, wow, this is like an overload of your sensory organs. And, I started to do a bit of research on India, and I remember coming back from training once, and we, back then we weren't in the back of the nice flashy car, I was in the back of a tuk-tuk with my cricket bag. And the tuk-tuk driver, and he's there, and he's got one leg up, he's like this, right? He's flying down the road, like 100 miles an hour. And he was playing this song, and I thought, I like this song. This is my introduction to Bollywood. What's this song? I said, "Sir," he's like, "Yeah." I look around like this. I said, what's this song called? He says, "Muqabala." I went, "Muqabala?" And I said, "Can I buy that cassette tape off you back then?" And I think he charged me 500 rupees, right? Ripped me off big time. So I said, "Okay, here's 500 rupees. And I gave him that, and I took it home, and I kept Muqabala. And I said, "What does Muqabala mean?" He says, it's a fight, it's a duel. They're fighting over a Sundar Ladiki type of thing. And that was my introduction. So I went back with a bit more knowledge on the first trip. And then I came back. The next trip I was meant to be back, and I broke my elbow. I snapped my arm in half playing a game. And I missed the game and missed the tour where Lakshman and Dravid batted the whole day. And I reckon I broke my arm on purpose because I didn't want to be a part of that day. But then the next trip I came back, and that was like, I was coming back as an Australian fully fledged player. And it's changed. The culture's changed since '94. What's that, 23 years ago? The culture's changed big time. I love how now the guys and girls have become westernized but still kept their main roots, kept their culture. You know, the girls are wearing their beautiful saris, the guys are still wearing their kurtas and their whole traditional clothing, which I think is beautiful. And then they're happy to go to the western side a bit, but come back to their main culture. So that it's changed heaps. The hotels have changed, the transport's changed, the wickets have changed.
But still, you have cricket journalists, 500 cricket journalists per square foot. That remains same.
Yeah, exactly. But the love and passion for the game hasn't changed. It's always been 100%.
Now, talking about your personality, you say your worst habit is doing million things at the same time.
Got to go.
You have said that, but
true,
don't you think, Brett Lee, great cricketer, full stop, is one scenario, but Brett Lee, great cricketer, ... and life goes on. That has made you what Brett Lee is.
See, with that sentence, I would take out the great. I'd just say Brett Lee cricketer, because I don't see myself as a great cricketer. I see myself as a guy that gave his best. And if people think that I was a good cricketer, well, then I'm thinking, well, thank you very much. But I don't see myself up there in the top echelon of great cricketers. I know that I had something special with my pace, and I've knocked over some good batsmen, but I don't look at myself and walk around at night going, I'm a great cricketer. But I think I am hyperactive, honestly, because I find it very hard to sit still. Like if I have a day off, and my wife always laughs at me, she goes, just sit still, watch a movie. I'm like, it's boring, I can't sit still. If I have to sit still on an aeroplane, then I'll watch a movie, because I can't do anything else. But if there's something that I can do, I will do it. So my typical day, I'll wake up in the morning, if I've got nothing on, I'd write, okay, I'll check the tides, fishing. Got to go fishing, got to go down the farm, got to hop out in the boat, got to go to the cricket nets, got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. And then all of a sudden it's 6 o'clock at night, I'm like exhausted. But that's me, because I'm trying to push everything into this life and actually have a lot of fun.
Tell us about your initiative of music, because you spell your music differently, and you also proudly say that it's a tool to heal. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so with my experience of music, especially with the guitar, is that you can hear a song which will take you back to a very special time. It's like, to me, it's you might hear something or you might smell something, and you can smell the flower that takes you back. There's this flower I used to walk past every day to school when I was 5. I used to walk with my older brother, and we'd walk to primary school. And this yellow flower in Australia, every spring it would come out and I'd smell it. So every time I smell that flower now, it takes me back to when I was 5, walking past that same tree on the corner of on our road, walking to school. Same with music, you hear a song, it takes you back to a special memory, or it takes you back to a sad memory. And that's good, because it brings out a different personality in you, I think. So I know how special music can be, and I know that it does heal people. It can take them away from bad things that have happened in their life, and that's why I wanted to set up Music Foundation, which gets the children out of the dumping grounds. And I'm trying to be the conduit, or the stepping stone, excuse me, between the dumping grounds and education. So we don't claim to be a perfect classroom where we teach all different types of schooling. We'll get them into a learning environment with some great teachers that teach them music therapy, and then push them into further education. That's where I see my role being, is to try to get them pushed into education. And since we've started looking after these children, a lot of the kids, a huge, highly success rate of the kids, have now gone in to go to school, which is fantastic. And it's amazing where, you have young boys and girls that have been abused, or they've been orphaned, which is horrible. And we're sitting here, and I think I've had a bad day if, my phone runs out of battery. And we've all been there, yeah? You think you have a bad day when you haven't taken a wicket, but that's nothing compared to what these poor little kids have been through. So their bad day is not having enough food. Their bad day is nothing to wear to go to sleep, or nothing to sleep under or sleep on. So if you can create an opportunity or a place for them where they can actually feel like they're wanted and they're loved, and you push them into further education, then you sort of go, well, I can go to bed at night thinking that, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. I've actually helped someone.
That is why this man is so special. That is why we all Indians love him so much. But share us an experience of doing a music CD with the great Asha Bhosle.
Well, Asha G, legend. And I was approached by this music company and they said, we're doing a collaboration, a duet with a famous Indian singer. You wouldn't know her name, Asha Bhosle. I said, yeah, I know Asha. They were, what? You know Asha Bhosle? I said, yeah, she's a legend. And they said, would you want to do a song with her? And I said, well, what do I have to do? And they said, just sing. I was like, okay, this is back in 2006. And so I said, who's involved? And they said a few Bollywood actors and Robbie Williams from England. They were doing like a remix on Angels or something, one of his famous songs. And I said, okay, they said, well, if you come down to the studio and we'll get some vocals down and then that's it. And I said, well, can I have a go at writing the song? And they went, yeah, okay. So I hung up the phone, went and got my guitar, and I wrote a song in 21 minutes. And I got on the phone, I was like this, and I'm playing the song over the phone to the music producer, and he goes, I like it. And I said, well, I'd like my whole part to be in English, Asha G to sing in Hindi, and at the end I'll have a go in Hindi and she could sing in English. And I went and did the recording, mainly just the guide vocal, did like a little bit of guitar or bass on it. And then I was up at Mohali playing cricket, so I was sneaking out between the Australian matches versus India. No one knew I was leaving the hotel, so I'd sneak out of the hotel, go down to the studio, do my guide vocal, come back, go training, finish training, go back to the studio and do my lead vocal. And we had to win against India to go down to play the semis in Mumbai. And we had to go to Mumbai, in my opinion, because I wanted to do a film clip with Asha Bhosle. So I made sure that we won. We went down to Mumbai and I got the chance to meet the great Asha G. And she had done all her parts and then they produced the two together. And we did a little film clip which took us about 2 or 3 hours. And that was it. And I went home thinking that was fun. I didn't do it for any money value, I just did it for the experience. And then about 8 weeks later we get a phone call in Australia and I thought it was someone winding me up. I thought it was like a stitch up. Do you understand what a stitch up is? Like someone taking the mickey out of me. And they said, Brett, your song, you and Asha Bhosle's song, You're the One for Me, has gone to number 1. I was like, what? No way.
Oh my God.
No way. And I thought it was still And that was, the weirdest thing about that was that the next tour I came back and every ground I played on around India, they were all singing the song in the stadium, which was weird but great. And I'm glad I did it.
Can I request you something? Please.
What's that? Oh no.
Please.
I'm not gonna sing, but
No, but just
I'll do one line. हमें तुम्हारा हूँ, तुम्हारा ही रहूँगा. There we go. So हमें तुम्हारा हूँ, तुम्हारा ही रहूँगा was the song I did with Asha G, and yeah. I would sing, but I've been up all day.
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
But she's
just
a
to-
legend. She's an absolute legend.
Yeah, and a live wire personality.
Yeah, but she's
Young at heart always.
yeah. And I didn't realise that she was at that stage about 74 years of age.
Yeah. I think she's still 74.
Yeah, she is, exactly. And then she came and toured Australia
Yeah.
and played at the Opera House. And she asked me to come to the Opera House and get up and do that song with her. And I was away, I couldn't do it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was spewing, but that would have been a lot of fun.
Many people think that as far as blood groups are concerned, doctors will say there is a A plus, B plus, O positive, O negative. But I can assure you, there is a very special blood group of C plus, cricket plus. And
Thank
that
you.
is what we are all about.
Thank you very much.
Great, what a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That
Thank
is
you very
greatly
much.
for you.
And
Thank you.
once again, thank you to all the artists today. Like, we were in the back there and was talking about it, but I've actually been so blown away with all the hard work that you've all done, and you know, you should be very, very proud of yourselves, because there's no way in the world that I could ever do anything like that, and I would love to do something like that, but I'm not skilled at that. But that's a talent. You know, me bowling 160 k's an hour is a talent. You doing all this is a talent, so you should be very, very proud. So congratulations, well done.
And you should take care of your talent.
Yeah.
These guys should take care of their talent.
Absolutely, and it's great that, you know, and I guess, you know, my role here today is to try and get that exposure out for all the hard work that you're doing. And if a lot more, you know, if you tell 15, 20 people about it, we've got social media and we've got cameras, that's good, so it'll get out to the public. And that's what we want to achieve, because the hard work that you're doing should be appreciated.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, both of you. Actually, one question I had, if I may ask you. You faced 90,000 people, 1 lakh people at a time in front of all the cameras in the world. What is the difference between facing that camera and when you face the camera for a shoot, for a movie shoot?
Well, it's probably the hardest thing is that when you get given a guitar on stage, you go, sing! But no, it's all good. It's different. Like, to me, bowling came natural. I learned to bowl at 9 and just came natural. So me being in front of 90 or 100,000 people, it was fine. There was never ever a problem. I loved it. I embraced it. Shooting a major film, like a feature film, in front of a camera, had to learn all the dialogue. That was different, because that was
Butterflies in the stomach?
Of course. And and working with the Sundar Lerki, that was she was very good at Tanisha Chatterjee. She's a legend of the of the industry.
Is.
And she kept stirring me up. She kept saying, the kissing scene's coming. Are you okay? I'm like, gosh, got to go now, type of thing. But it was so tasteful. It was well done. And I've definitely got the acting bug, so I'd love to do another one.
Thanks for allowing me to have that question.